The emergency meeting chamber on Station Omega buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 12 different species sat around the curved table, their various forms creating an alien rainbow of colors and shapes. The Vellani ambassador, her blue skin pale with fear, stood at the center podium with shaking hands. "The transmission came 3 hours ago," she said, her voice breaking. "Our colony on Theta 7 is under attack. We need help immediately." The holographic display flickered to life, showing grainy footage from the doomed world. Massive crystalline ships, each the size of a city, hung in the orange sky like dark clouds. Strange mechanical arms extended from their hulls, reaching down to scoop up entire buildings. The screams of the Vellani people echoed through the chamber as the recording played. "These ships appeared from nowhere," the ambassador continued. "They ignored all our communication attempts. They just started harvesting our people like we were crops." Elder Morthak, the ancient reptilian leader of the Galactic Council, leaned forward in his chair. His yellow eyes studied the footage with growing alarm. "What do they want? Did they make any demands?" "Nothing," the Vellani replied. "They treat us like we are not even thinking beings. Our military tried to fight back, but their weapons do nothing against those crystal hulls. The ships just keep taking our people." The chamber fell silent except for the soft humming of life support systems. Each species representative looked uncomfortable, shifting in their seats. They all knew the truth that nobody wanted to speak out loud. The Council's main battle fleets were scattered across the galaxy. The Zephyrian fleet was dealing with pirates in the Outer Rim. The Mokari ships were helping with relief efforts after the solar storm hit the Centauri colonies. The few remaining defense ships were weeks away from Vellani space. "How many people are on Theta 7? Asked the Terran representative, her pale human features grim. 2 million souls, the Vellani ambassador whispered. "My children are there, my mate. They will all be gone before any help arrives." Elder Morthak's claws tapped against the metal table. In his 300 years of life, he had seen many crises, but nothing like this. These unknown attackers moved with purpose and technology that seemed beyond anything the Council had faced before. "Send long-range scouts to gather intelligence," he ordered. "Contact all available ships in nearby sectors. We must do something." The security chief, a hulking Vorthak warrior, shook his massive head. "Even if we gather every available ship, it will take 10 days minimum to reach Theta 7. By then..." He did not need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood. The holographic display continued showing the horrible harvest. The crystal ships worked with mechanical precision, processing entire city blocks in minutes. Whatever these beings were, they had done this before, many times. "There is one option," said the human representative quietly. All eyes turned to her. "We could send a transmission to the Sol system." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Several species began shouting at once, their translators struggling to keep up with the heated words. "Absolutely not," roared the Thaxian delegate. "Those Deathworlders are banned from civilized space for good reason." "They are too violent," added the Kepler ambassador. "Too dangerous. We agreed never to contact them again after the Proxima incident." Elder Morthak raised his hand for silence. The arguments died down, but the tension remained thick in the air. The humans had been quarantined to their home system for 37 years. Ever since their first contact with galactic civilization had ended in bloodshed. The stories about humanity were legend throughout the galaxy. They came from a world so hostile that it had forged them into perfect killers. Their planet Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, a place where everything from the weather to the smallest creatures tried to kill you every day. When humans first encountered other species, they had reacted with typical Deathworlder aggression. A simple trade dispute on Proxima Station had turned into a massacre when human security forces opened fire. 57 aliens had died in less than 10 minutes. The humans claimed they were defending themselves, but the rest of the galaxy saw only savage brutality. "They are monsters," whispered the Altarian delegate. We all agreed they were too dangerous to be allowed among civilized beings. The human representative stood up slowly. Her name was Ambassador Lisa Park, and she had been arguing for human integration into galactic society for over a decade. "My people made mistakes," she admitted, "but that was 37 years ago. We have learned. We have changed. And right now we are the only ones close enough to help." "Help?" The Thaxian delegate laughed bitterly. "They would probably join the attackers. Violence is all they understand." Ambassador Park's face remained calm, but her hands clenched into fists. We understand protecting innocent lives. We understand fighting for those who cannot fight for themselves. That is what makes us human. The Villani ambassador looked around the chamber desperately. Her people were dying while the council argued about politics and old grudges. Please, she begged. I do not care who helps us. I just want my family to live. Elder Morthak closed his eyes and considered the impossible choice. The humans were indeed violent and unpredictable. Their military was built for warfare in ways that horrified more peaceful species. But they were also the only force in range that might actually be able to fight these crystal ships. The human fleet in Sol system, he said slowly. How many ships do they have? Ambassador Park checked her datapad. Currently, the defensive fleet has 47 major vessels. 3 dreadnoughts, 12 battlecruisers, and 32 destroyers, all built for system defense. The numbers sent murmurs through the chamber. It was a respectable fleet size, but everyone knew human ships were different from council vessels. They carried weapons designed by Deathworlders for fighting other Deathworlders. The story said human weapons could crack planets if needed. Even if they agreed to help, said the security chief. Could they reach Theta 7 in time? Human ships are fast, admitted the Terran representative. Our fusion drives can maintain acceleration that would kill most species. If they left immediately and pushed their ships to maximum burn, they could reach Villani space in 4 days. The chamber fell silent again. 4 days was still a long time when people were being harvested, but it was better than 10 days. It might be the only chance the Villani had. The transmission protocols, Elder Morthak said finally. Do we still have access to human communication frequencies? Yes, Elder. The emergency channels remain open by treaty. The old reptilian leader looked around the chamber at each representative. He could see the fear in their eyes, but also the desperate hope. They all knew this might be the only option, no matter how much it scared them. Then we send the message, he decided. We ask the humans for help. May the stars forgive us for what we are about to unleash. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, staring at the message that had just arrived from Galactic Council space. The emergency transmission crackled with interference from the long journey across interstellar space, but the desperate words came through clearly enough. Unknown attackers. Harvesting populations. Council fleets unavailable. Request immediate assistance. The bridge crew worked quietly around her, monitoring the endless stream of data that kept humanity's most powerful warship running. The Retribution was a Titan-class dreadnought, built in the orbital shipyards of Mars 30 years ago. Its fusion drives could push the massive ship to speeds that would turn most alien crews into paste against their bulkheads. Ma'am, we are receiving additional data packets, reported Lieutenant Commander Torres from the communication station. Tactical information about the attackers, star charts, and what looks like footage from the attack itself. Chen nodded grimly. Put it on the main screen. The holographic display materialized above the bridge, showing the same terrible images that had horrified the Galactic Council hours earlier. The crystal ships hung in alien skies like mechanical vultures, their harvesting arms reaching down to collect helpless people by the thousands. Jesus Christ, whispered Commander Hayes, the ship's first officer. They are processing them like cattle. The bridge fell silent as they watched city after city disappear into the belly of the crystal ships. These were not soldiers dying in battle. These were families, children, elderly beings who had never held a weapon in their lives. The attackers showed no mercy, no hesitation. Ma'am, said Torres quietly, there is more. Intelligence estimates suggest the attackers have already harvested 17 different worlds over the past 2 years. This is not their first operation. Admiral Chen felt a familiar cold anger building in her chest. She had served in the Human Defense Force for 28 years, rising through the ranks during the dark period after humanity's exile from galactic society. She had seen what happened when good people stood by and did nothing while evil spread unchecked. Get me a connection to Fleet Command, she ordered. Priority Alpha. The holographic image of Admiral Jackson appeared moments later, his weathered face looking tired from another long day managing humanity's defensive forces. Behind him, Chen could see the orbital command center above Earth, its massive window showing the blue marble of humanity's homeworld. Sarah, I assume you have seen the transmission from the Council, Jackson said without preamble. I have, sir. What are your orders? Jackson rubbed his forehead. That is complicated. The politicians are meeting right now to discuss the situation. Some think this might be a trap. Others believe we should ignore it completely. Let the galaxy burn, they say. It is not our problem anymore. Chen's jaw tightened. And what do you think, sir? I think innocent people are dying while we debate politics. Jackson's eyes hardened. But officially, I cannot order you to leave Sol System. The treaty with the Council specifically forbids any human military action outside our borders. The Admiral paused, looking directly at Chen through the hologram. However, if a ship captain decided on their own to respond to a distress call, that would be their decision to make, especially if they felt there was an immediate threat to human colonies. Chen understood perfectly. Jackson was giving her unofficial permission to act, while maintaining plausible deniability for the government. It was the kind of gray area that career military officers learned to navigate. How many ships could theoretically make such an independent decision? She asked. The entire Third Fleet is currently on patrol near the outer system, Jackson replied. 15 ships total, including your dreadnought. Enough firepower to handle most situations. On the main screen, the footage from Theta 7 continued playing. Chen watched another group of alien children being herded into the harvesting machines and felt her decision crystallize. Sir, the UES Retribution is detecting unusual energy signatures near the edge of Sol System, she said formally. I believe we should investigate immediately. The other ships in Third Fleet should join us for safety. Jackson nodded slowly. Understood, Admiral. You have full authority to investigate any potential threats to human security. Report back when you have more information. The connection ended, leaving Chen alone with her thoughts and her crew. Around the bridge, she could see the anticipation in their faces. These men and women had trained their entire careers for battle, but had never been allowed to use their skills to help anyone outside human space. All stations, prepare for departure, Chen announced. Navigation, plot a course for Volani space, maximum burn. Communication, send a message to all Third Fleet vessels. We are responding to a distress call. The bridge erupted into activity as dozens of officers worked to bring the massive warship to full combat readiness. The Retribution's fusion reactors began spinning up to full power, their deep hum echoing through the ship's hull. Ma'am, said Commander Hayes quietly, the crew should know what we are really doing. This is not just an investigation. Chen nodded. She keyed the ship-wide communication system, her voice carrying to every compartment on the massive vessel. All hands, this is the Admiral. 37 years ago, our species was exiled from galactic society because we were deemed too violent, too dangerous to exist among civilized beings. Today, those same civilized beings have asked for our help. She paused, letting the words sink in. An unknown enemy is harvesting innocent people across multiple worlds. The Galactic Council's fleets are too far away to respond in time. We are the only force close enough to make a difference. The ship's intercom carried her words to over 3,000 crew members, from the youngest enlisted technician to the most senior department heads. I will not lie to you. This mission is not authorized by our government. We are acting independently, and there will likely be consequences when we return. But sometimes doing the right thing matters more than following orders. Chen could imagine the faces of her crew as they listened. Many of them had family members who remembered the old days, when humans explored the galaxy freely before the exile. Others had grown up dreaming of the stars, only to be told they could never leave their home system. The enemy we face has technology we do not understand and tactics we have never seen. They have already destroyed 17 worlds and harvested millions of innocent lives. They expect no resistance because they have never faced real opposition. The Admiral's voice grew harder, carrying the edge that had earned her command of humanity's most powerful warship. But they have never faced humans. They have never fought Deathworlders who learned warfare on the most hostile planet in known space. They think they are harvesting helpless prey, but they are about to discover what happens when Earth's children go to war. The communication system crackled with the sound of 3,000 voices cheering. Chen smiled grimly as she felt the Retribution's massive engines begin their burn toward interstellar space. All ships report ready for departure, announced Torres. Third Fleet is forming up around us. Through the bridge windows, Chen could see the running lights of 14 other warships as they fell into formation. Destroyers, cruisers, and frigates all built for one purpose, to protect humanity from anything the galaxy might throw at them. Take us out, she ordered. Maximum acceleration. Time to show the galaxy what Deathworlders can do. The stars began to shift as the human fleet accelerated toward the edge of Sol System, their fusion drives burning bright against the cosmic dark. Behind them, Earth grew smaller with each passing hour. Ahead lay the unknown enemy and whatever horrors awaited in Villani space. But Admiral Chen felt no fear, only anticipation. Humanity was going to war again, and this time they were fighting for something that mattered more than politics or territory. They were fighting for the right of innocent beings to live free from terror. The Deathworlders were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. The human fleet charged through space like wolves attacking a herd of sheep. Admiral Chen's desperate gamble had caught the Cathera completely off guard. Their perfect formations began to waver as the human ships closed distance at speeds that should have been impossible. Distance to targets, 8,000 kilometers and closing, reported the navigation officer, all ships maintaining formation. Chen gripped the arms of her command chair as the Retribution's engines pushed the massive dreadnought to its absolute limits. The artificial gravity system struggled to compensate for the brutal acceleration, and she could feel the ship's superstructure groaning under the stress. "Ma'am, we are detecting panic communications from the alien fleet," announced Lieutenant Commander Torres. "Their formation is starting to break apart." The tactical display showed the crystal ships trying to maintain their geometric patterns while avoiding the incoming human vessels. But their programming was not designed for close-quarters combat. They had always fought at long range, picking off helpless prey with their energy weapons. "Weapons range in 20 seconds, called out the tactical officer. "All point defense systems are online." Chen opened the fleet channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. When we hit weapon range, target their harvesting equipment first. Those mechanical arms are how they collect people. Destroy them and we stop the harvest." The acknowledgements came back from 11 remaining ships. They had lost 4 vessels in the initial exchange, but the survivors were now close enough that the alien energy weapons could not track them effectively. 10 seconds to weapons range, announced the tactical officer. Chen watched the massive crystal ships growing larger on the main screen. Up close, she could see the horrible details of their construction. The harvesting arms were covered in organic matter, pieces of buildings and what looked like bodies stuck to their surfaces like insects caught in amber. "Fire," she commanded. The human fleet unleashed everything they had at point-blank range. Missile batteries emptied their magazines in concentrated salvos. Kinetic weapons fired depleted uranium slugs at significant fractions of light speed. Particle beam weapons carved bright lines across the vacuum. The difference was immediate and devastating. At close range, the human weapons found weak points in the crystal armor. Harvesting arms exploded in clouds of debris. Surface installations vanished under direct hits from kinetic penetrators. The aliens' energy shields flickered and failed under the sustained bombardment. "Direct hits on multiple targets," reported the weapons officer with satisfaction. "We are causing significant damage." But the Cathara were not helpless. As the human ships passed through their formation, the crystal vessels began firing at point-blank range. Energy beams lanced out in all directions, turning space into a deadly web of light. The cruiser UES Valiant took a direct hit to her engineering section. The ship's fusion reactor went critical, creating a miniature star that briefly outshone the system's sun. The destroyer UES Courage followed moments later. Her hull split open like a ripe fruit. "We are losing ships," Commander Hayes reported grimly. "But we are hurting them too." Chen nodded, watching the tactical display with grim satisfaction. 3 of the massive harvest ships were now trailing debris, their mechanical arms severed or destroyed. They were still functional, but they could no longer collect people from the planet below. "All ships continue the attack," she ordered. "Hit them again from a different angle." The human fleet swung around in a wide arc, using their superior maneuverability to set up another attack run. The Cathera ships tried to turn to face them, but their massive bulk made quick maneuvers impossible. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the planet's surface," announced Torres. "The Villani are reporting that the harvest operations have stopped." The mechanical arms are no longer functioning. Chen felt a surge of fierce joy. They were actually succeeding. The human assault was working, but their victory came at a terrible cost. As the fleet lined up for their second attack run, another wave of alien energy beams reached out for them. The destroyer UES Hammer disappeared in a ball of plasma. The frigate UES Storm took a glancing hit that vaporized her entire port side. 8 ships remaining, reported Hayes quietly. Chen did the math in her head. They had started with 15 vessels and lost 7 already, but they had also disabled the harvesting operations and damaged several of the massive alien ships. It was a trade she was willing to make. "Admiral, sensors are detecting something strange," called out the science officer. "The crystal ships are beginning to cluster together. They appear to be linking their systems somehow." The tactical display showed the alien vessels moving into a tight formation, their hulls almost touching. Energy began flowing between them, creating a web of light that connected all 17 ships into a single massive structure. "What are they doing?" asked Commander Hayes. Before anyone could answer, the linked alien ships began to glow with an ominous blue light. The energy reading spiked beyond anything the human sensors had recorded before. "Unknown energy buildup," reported the science officer urgently. "Power levels are off the charts. I think they are preparing some kind of superweapon." Chen felt ice water flow through her veins. A superweapon powered by 17 massive ships would be able to destroy her entire fleet with a single shot. They had to stop it before it could fire. "All ships, emergency acceleration," she ordered. "Target the connection points between the alien vessels. If we can break their link, we might stop whatever they are planning." The human fleet raced toward the clustering alien ships as fast as their engines could push them. But they were still several thousand kilometers away, and the energy buildup was reaching critical levels. 30 seconds to weapons range, announced the tactical officer. Chen watched the blue glow, building between the crystal ships, and knew they were not going to make it in time. Whatever the aliens were preparing, it would fire before the human fleet could get close enough to stop it. "Ma'am," said Torres quietly, "I am detecting another energy signature. Something is coming out of hyperspace." New contacts began appearing on the tactical display. Ship after ship materialized at the edge of the system, their energy signatures completely different from either human or Kethera vessels. "Galactic Council Fleet," announced the communications officer. 43 ships, mixed species. They are moving to engage the crystal ships." Chen felt a mixture of relief and frustration. The Council Fleet was much larger than her own force, with enough firepower to make a real difference in the battle. But they were also too far away to help with the immediate crisis. "Time to superweapon firing?" she asked. 15 seconds, replied the science officer. The blue glow between the crystal ships reached a blinding intensity. Chen could see the energy building to a crescendo that would doom her fleet and everyone still alive on the planet below. Then, she made a decision that would echo through military academies for generations to come. "All ships, ramming speed," she ordered. "Direct collision course with the center of their formation. If they want to fire that weapon, they will have to do it with us inside their targeting area." "Admiral, that is suicide," protested Commander Hayes. "Maybe," Chen replied grimly. "But it is also the only way to save those people on the planet." All ships ramming speed. For humanity, the human fleet accelerated directly toward the heart of the alien formation. Their fusion drives burned at maximum output, pushing the warships to velocities that would turn them into kinetic weapons on impact. The Kethera superweapon began to fire just as the first human ship reached their formation. The destroyer UES Thunder struck one of the crystal vessels at nearly 10% of light speed, her mass and velocity combining to create an explosion that lit up half the system. The chain reaction was immediate and catastrophic. The energy building between the linked alien ships had nowhere to go except into their own hulls. One by one, the massive crystal vessels began to explode as their superweapon tore them apart from within. Chen watched from the bridge of the Retribution as space filled with debris and dying light. The human fleet had sacrificed itself to stop the alien weapon, but they had succeeded. The harvest was over. "Admiral," said Torres quietly, "we are receiving transmissions from the surviving Villani. They are thanking us for saving their people." Chen nodded, feeling the weight of command and the cost of victory. They had won, but at a price that would haunt her for the rest of her life. In the distance, the Galactic Council fleet was moving to secure the system and rescue survivors. The politicians would argue about what had happened here, but Chen knew the truth. Sometimes the only way to stop monsters was to become something even more terrifying than they were. And today, humanity had proven they were the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Villani system, like avenging angels emerging from the void. 15 warships materialized in perfect formation, their running lights cutting through the darkness as sensor arrays swept the system for targets. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the tactical display update, with information from their initial scans. What they found made her blood run cold. "Ma'am, we are detecting 17 massive contacts in orbit around Theta 7, reported Lieutenant Commander Torres. "Configuration unknown, but they match the energy signatures from the Council transmission." The main screen shifted to show a long-range visual of the Villani homeworld. The planet's surface glowed with the fires of dying cities, while the massive crystal ships hung in orbit like predatory insects. Each vessel was easily 3 kilometers long, their faceted hulls reflecting the light from the system's star. "My God," whispered Commander Hayes. "Look at the surface." The orbital view showed the full scope of the devastation. Entire continents had been stripped bare, their cities and forests gone. The harvesting had been systematic and thorough, leaving behind only empty scars in the planet's surface where millions of people had once lived. "We are too late," said Torres quietly. "The population centers are gone." Chen studied the tactical display more closely. "No, look at the harvesting patterns. They are working in sections probably to maintain efficiency. There." She pointed to the southern continent. "Those cities are still intact. The harvest ships have not reached them yet." The scanner technician's voice carried across the bridge. "Admiral, I am detecting approximately 400,000 life signs still on the surface. They appear to be concentrated in the remaining urban areas. 400,000. Out of a planetary population that had been over 2 million just days ago." Chen felt the familiar cold rage building inside her chest, the same feeling that had driven humanity through countless wars on their Deathworld home. "Range to targets?" she asked. 60,000 kilometers and closing," replied the weapons officer. "All ships report ready for battle." Chen opened a channel to the fleet. "All vessels, this is Admiral Chen. We are looking at an active genocide in progress. Our mission is simple: stop the harvest ships and protect the remaining civilians. Rules of engagement are weapons-free. Show no mercy." The acknowledgements came back immediately from all 14 escort ships. Chen could hear the anger in her captain's voices as they prepared for battle. Every human in the fleet understood what they were seeing. This was not war between soldiers. This was slaughter of innocents. "Ma'am, incoming transmission from one of the crystal ships," announced Torres. "They are attempting to communicate. Put it through." The bridge speakers crackled with an alien voice that sounded like grinding metal. The translation software struggled to make sense of the strange language, finally producing words in flat, emotionless English. "Unknown vessels, you will withdraw immediately. This harvesting operation is claimed by the Kythera Collective. Your presence violates our territorial rights." Chen looked around the bridge at her officers. Several of them looked shocked at the casual way the aliens referred to genocide as a harvesting operation. "Response, Admiral?" asked Torres. Chen keyed the communication system. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Defense Force. You are committing mass murder against innocent people. Cease your operations immediately and withdraw from the system." The reply came quickly, still in that emotionless tone. "Human vessels are not recognized by the collective. This system contains resources allocated for processing. You will withdraw or be processed as well." The communication ended abruptly. Chen stared at the tactical display for a moment, processing what she had just heard. The aliens spoke about sapient beings like they were crops to be harvested. They showed no recognition that their victims were thinking, feeling people with families and dreams. "They treat us like we are not even alive," said Commander Hayes. "Like we are just things to be collected." "Admiral," called out the sensor operator, "I am detecting movement from the crystal ships. They are launching smaller vessels, approximately 100 contacts. They appear to be moving to intercept us." The tactical display updated to show a swarm of smaller ships breaking away from the massive harvest vessels. Each one was roughly the size of a human destroyer, their crystal hulls gleaming as they accelerated toward the human fleet. "Time to intercept?" Chen asked. 12 minutes at current acceleration," replied the navigation officer. Chen studied the approaching enemy formation. The alien ships moved in perfect coordination, like a school of fish or a flock of birds. There was something unsettling about their precision, as if they were all controlled by a single mind. Fleet Tactical. Spread Formation Alpha. All ships prepare for missile engagement at maximum range. The human warships began to spread out across several thousand kilometers of space, each vessel taking position to maximize their firing solutions. The Retribution, as the fleet flagship remained at the center of the formation with its massive batteries trained on the approaching enemy. "Ma'am, we are receiving distress signals from the planet's surface," reported Torres. "The remaining Villani cities are sending desperate pleas for help." "They know we are here," Chen nodded grimly. 400,000 people were counting on them. 400,000 souls who would die if the human fleet failed. "Weapons range in 30 seconds, announced the tactical officer. "All ships prepare to fire," Chen ordered. "Target the lead elements. Let them know what human weapons can do." The seconds ticked by as the two fleets raced toward each other through the void. Chen watched the tactical display, waiting for the perfect moment to engage. The alien ships showed no signs of slowing down or changing course. They were coming straight at the humans with absolute confidence. "Weapons range achieved," called out the tactical officer. "All ships, fire," Chen commanded. Space erupted in brilliant flashes as dozens of human missiles streaked toward the alien formation. Each warhead carried a fusion payload designed to crack the armor of enemy warships. The weapons had been tested against the toughest materials human science could create. The first salvo impacted the lead alien ships in a series of nuclear fireballs. Chen watched the tactical display, expecting to see the enemy formation break apart under the devastating assault. Instead, the crystal ships emerged from the explosions completely undamaged. Their faceted hulls had somehow absorbed or deflected the fusion warheads without showing any signs of damage. "Direct hits. No effect," reported the weapons officer, shock clear in his voice. "Impossible," muttered Commander Hayes. "Those were direct nuclear strikes." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. The human fleet had just fired their most powerful weapons at the enemy, and it had been like throwing rocks at a mountain. If their missiles could not damage the crystal hulls, what chance did they have? "Admiral, the alien ships are returning fire," called out Torres. The tactical display showed beams of coherent energy lancing out from the crystal ships toward the human formation. The beams moved at light speed, giving no time for evasive action. The destroyer UES Courage took a direct hit amidships. The alien beam sliced through the warship's hull like it was made of paper, cutting the vessel completely in half. Secondary explosions rippled through both pieces as the ship's reactor went critical. "Courage is gone," reported the communication officer quietly. "No survivors." Chen stared at the tactical display in horror. One shot. The aliens had destroyed a human warship with a single shot, while taking no damage from humanity's best weapons. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," she ordered. "Random patterns, maximum acceleration." The human fleet scattered across space as more alien beams reached out for them. The destroyer UES Defiant spun wildly to avoid a shot that missed by mere meters. The cruiser UES Vigilant used her maneuvering thrusters to slide sideways, just as an energy beam passed through the space where she had been moments before. But the aliens were learning. Their second salvo was more accurate, accounting for human evasive patterns. 3 more human ships took hits, their hulls torn open by the devastating energy weapons. "We cannot fight them like this," said Hayes urgently. "Their weapons are too powerful, and ours cannot penetrate their defenses." Chen watched another of her ships die in a brilliant explosion and felt despair creeping into her heart. The human fleet was being slaughtered, and they had not managed to damage a single enemy vessel. Then she looked at the tactical display again and noticed something odd. The alien ships were maintaining perfect formation, flying in precise geometric patterns. They moved like a computer program, following predictable paths. They fight like machines, she realized. No variation, no creativity. They have never faced an enemy that could adapt. A desperate plan began forming in her mind. It was insane, probably suicidal, but it might be their only chance. "All ships cease evasive maneuvers," she ordered. "Form up on the Retribution for a direct assault." "Ma'am?" Commander Hayes looked at her like she had lost her mind. "They expect us to fight at long range like civilized species," Chen explained. "But we are not civilized. We are Deathworlders, and Deathworlders fight up close." She opened the fleet channel. "All ships prepare for ramming speed. We are going to show these crystal bastards how humans really fight." 3 weeks after the Battle of Theta 7, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the UES Retribution, watching the massive construction efforts taking place around the devastated Villani homeworld. Council engineering ships worked alongside human vessels to build temporary habitats for the survivors, their combined efforts creating a small city in orbit above the scarred planet. The irony was not lost on her. For 37 years, the galaxy had refused to work with humanity because they were too dangerous. Now those same species were begging for human protection and cooperation. "Admiral, the Council delegation is ready to meet with you," announced Commander Hayes as he entered the observation deck. Chen nodded, taking one last look at the relief efforts below. "How many survivors did we manage to save?" "Final count is 387,000 Villani," Hayes replied, "plus another 2 million refugees from other worlds that we found in the Cathara processing stations." The rescue operation had been the largest humanitarian effort in galactic history. After destroying the Harvest Fleet at Theta 7, the human survivors had followed the Cathara retreat path back to their main staging area. What they found there still gave Chen nightmares. The alien base had been a massive space station built around a captured asteroid. Inside its metal corridors, they had discovered processing facilities containing millions of sentient beings from dozens of different species. The Cathara had been harvesting populated worlds for decades, collecting people like resources to be stored and processed. The human fleet had arrived just in time to stop the final phase of the operation. Whatever the Cathara had been planning to do with their collected populations, it would never happen now. Chen walked through the ship's corridors toward the conference room, noting how different the atmosphere felt compared to 3 weeks ago. Her crew moved with the confidence of proven warriors, but also with the satisfaction of people who had saved millions of lives. The conference room was already crowded when she arrived. Representatives from 12 different species sat around the curved table, including Elder Morthak and the Villani ambassador she remembered from the emergency session. But the dynamics had completely changed. "Admiral Chen," said Elder Morthak as she entered, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, I want to thank you for your courageous actions. Without human intervention, the Cathara would have completed their harvest operations." Chen took her seat at the head of the table, noting that it was the position usually reserved for the Council leader. The symbolism was not lost on any of the assembled representatives. "We did what any civilized species should do when innocent people are being murdered," she replied. "The question is what happens next." The Thaxian delegate, who had been one of the most vocal opponents of human involvement, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "The Council has been discussing that very question. We realize that our previous policies regarding humanity may have been short-sighted." "Short-sighted?" Chen's voice carried a dangerous edge. "You quarantined my entire species because of a single incident 37 years ago. You refused all diplomatic contact and treated us like dangerous animals. Now you want our help because we are the only ones willing to fight." The chamber fell silent. Elder Morthak leaned forward, his ancient eyes meeting Chen's steady gaze. "You are correct, Admiral. We let fear cloud our judgment. We failed to see that humanity's aggressive nature could be a force for protection rather than destruction. We were wrong." The admission hung in the air like a challenge. Chen studied the faces around the table, seeing the mixture of gratitude, fear, and calculation in their expressions. They needed humanity now, but she wondered how long that need would last. "What exactly are you proposing?" she asked. The Villani ambassador spoke up, her blue skin still pale from the trauma of recent events. "We want to offer humanity full membership in the Galactic Council, all the rights and privileges that we denied you before. Trade agreements, cultural exchange, unrestricted travel throughout Council space." "In exchange for what?" Elder Morthak answered. "Military protection. The galaxy is a dangerous place, Admiral. The Cathara were just one threat among many. There are other hostile species out there, other dangers that peaceful civilizations cannot handle alone." Chen leaned back in her chair, considering the offer. It was everything humanity had wanted for nearly 4 decades. Full integration into galactic society, access to alien technology and knowledge, the chance to explore the stars freely. But it also meant becoming the galaxy's permanent military force, the enforcers who would be called upon whenever violence was needed. "You want us to be your attack dogs," she said bluntly. "We want you to be our protectors," corrected the Kepler ambassador. The Cathara had technology that our most advanced scientists could not understand. Their weapons were beyond anything we had ever encountered. But human tactics and human courage defeated them anyway. "Our preliminary analysis suggests that human military doctrine is uniquely suited to fighting unknown threats," added the science advisor. "Your species' history of warfare has given you tactical flexibility, that other civilizations lack. Chen stood up and walked to the viewport, looking out at the construction ships below. She could see human vessels working alongside alien craft, their crews cooperating despite decades of mutual suspicion. "There will be conditions," she said finally. "Name them," Elder Morthak replied immediately. "First, complete integration. No second-class citizenship, no restricted areas, no special limitations on human activity. If we are good enough to fight your wars, we are good enough to be full partners." Agreed. Second, joint military commands. Human officers will serve in council fleets and council officers will serve in human ships. We share knowledge, tactics, and technology. Acceptable. Third, human colonies throughout council space. My people have been trapped in one system for 37 years. If we are going to protect the galaxy, we need the right to live in it. Elder Morthak paused, consulting quietly with the other representatives. Chen could see the debate in their faces, the old fears warring with new realities. "Approved," he said finally. "Humanity will have full colonization rights throughout council space." Chen turned back to face the table. "And finally, autonomous command authority. When threats arise, human forces will respond as they see fit. No committee decisions, no political delays. If innocent people are in danger, we act immediately." This time the pause was longer. The concept of giving humans independent military authority clearly terrified some of the delegates. "Admiral," said the Thaxian representative carefully, "that level of autonomy could be problematic. What if human forces act against council interests?" Chen's smile was cold as Arctic ice. "Then you should make sure council interests align with protecting innocent life, because that is what we will always prioritize." The debate continued for several more hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The galaxy needed humanity more than humanity needed the galaxy. The Cathera attack had proven that peaceful civilizations were helpless against truly hostile forces. When the final agreements were signed, Chen felt a mixture of satisfaction and foreboding. Humanity was finally free to explore the stars, but they would do so as the galaxy's designated warriors. As the council delegates prepared to leave, Elder Morthak approached her privately. "Admiral, I must ask, are we making the right decision? Giving humans this much power and authority?" Chen looked out at the refugee camps where human medics were treating alien children, where human engineers were building homes for displaced families. "Elder, you spent 37 years fearing what humans might do if you gave us freedom. You never stopped to consider what we might accomplish if you gave us purpose." She gestured toward the relief efforts below. "My species has always been good at war, but we are even better at protecting the things we care about. The galaxy is about to discover that Deathworlders make the best guardians." 6 months later, the first human exploration fleets departed Sol system for destinations throughout council space. They carried colonists and scientists, traders and diplomats. But they also carried the weapons and warriors that had saved Theta 7. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human protection had begun, and in the dark spaces between the stars, other hostile forces were beginning to learn that the galaxy had acquired new guardians. Predators who had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. Warriors who fought not for conquest or glory, but for the simple right of innocent people to live free from fear. The Deathworlders were loose among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same.